live as it gets, and we're live, and we are live on a Tuesday. Hey guys, I'm Wolfie, and today we are going to talk about Brock Purdy's been hurt, no, and the future of the 49ers and what my expectations are for them. Do I still believe? Do I still think this team can make it to the playoffs, even after losing to the Seattle Seahawks? Do I still believe? And that's what we're going to go ahead and dive into, talk about the injury. Bosa probably not going to be back for a couple weeks, in my opinion. I do not know that for a fact yet. And then, of course, if we have time, we will talk about some other things around the NFL, like Justin Tucker's gone, Barkley, the Packers, and who else? And the Packers. That's pretty much what I got written down that we could talk about that. I don't mind talking about that. I wouldn't mind giving my opinion on it. And to everyone who watches this later, please like the live. It helps me out a lot. It supports the channel, helps me grow, helps me become the creator I always wanted to be. And I always want to be there for you guys. I want to be your 49ers guy so bad. And let's like the live up. Let's keep rolling. Let's stack it. Got to stack the days. You know what I mean? We got a comment from Val. Val in the house. Good to see you, Val. Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm the first one. You are the first one here, man. You are the first one here. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate that. That is some OG shit right there. And I know I keep saying this, but I definitely need. I keep saying this, and there will be a day that I do this. And it won't be for like, thanks, Val. Appreciate you. MVP. Appreciate it. Thank you. That's a W. I'm going to, at some point, probably when I get monetized, whenever that happens, I'm going to have a board of all the OGs. That's going to happen, right? There's going to be a board of OGs. It's going to happen at some point, but again, it's probably not going to happen until I get monetized. That's probably going to happen. Everything's going to get upgraded once that happens. I promise you. All right, so let's go ahead and jump right into the injury situation. Nick Sorensen needs to be fired into the sun. That moron doesn't blitz whatsoever. I don't think he's that bad. I just think that the problem that we had last game was that just Nick Bosa. Once Nick Bosa was out, dude, it was a game changer. Nick Bosa being gone changed everything. That defense fell apart. It became like one of the worst defenses I've ever seen. I do think that Nick Sorensen can't thrive unless he has, as of right now. And from what I've gathered, Nick Bosa's been around for a long time now. So it's been a while since this team has had any kind of pass rush or a good defense without Nick Bosa. It's been a while. And I think that contributed to the bad defense because once he was gone, everything changed. The entire defense completely fell apart. It was terrible. And I'm criticized, still criticize Nick Bosa this year. I still don't think he was as good as being paid, but he was still a good pass rusher. He was still doing things. He was still our best pass rusher, right? And then with him being completely gone, however, that changes. That just makes it even worse because our depth is absolute trash. And I do agree with Larry Krueger when he preaches we did not address DN position at all when that was like our biggest problem. I do agree. Heading into the trade deadline, that should have been something we should have been really hard on, should have focused on, and it was apparent. And I do agree with Larry Krueger that it was apparent that without Nick Bosa and the depth of this DN, there's no pressure because Geno Smith, we knew that Geno Smith was good without pressure, right? We knew that Geno Smith could not rush the passer. Sorry, not rush the passer. We knew that Geno Smith can handle the pass rush, right? We knew that was going to happen if there's no pressure on him whatsoever, right? He's not a bad QB, right? So that was bound to happen. When he was out, everything changed for a reason because Geno Smith is not that bad and he can handle throwing the ball when he barely has any pressure. So, Scott Lucas Jr. I haven't seen you in a while, man. Welcome back. Is Kittle at practice this week? I've heard that he's going to be back this week. I've heard that there's good news. Everything is like it was just he needed that break from the South Seahawks. Like that was a necessary situation. While I've heard that he's going to be fine for the next coming weeks. I've heard. Don't be like, okay, you said this, so this has happened. It's not like that, but like from what I've heard around the vibes and everything, it sounds to me he's going to come back. But we'll see. Practice. Let me type in. Today's Tuesday, so we won't know until tomorrow. If he's back at practice, but he should be back at practice. I think he'll probably be limited though. He's going to be playing injured for sure. I'm pretty sure on that. I'm confident in that. So let's go ahead and talk about the big thing right now, which is Brock Purdy is day 2 day right now. Same situation he had earlier in the year where he was day to day. He had some issues, but he still played the next week, if I recall. This is the same thing. I don't think it's that serious. He'll still able to throw the ball in the game because the soreness happened during the game, and he was fine, according to Kyle Shanahan. So I do expect this to be day-to-day, but I don't think we should panic. I don't think it's the end of the world. I don't think it's like, oh, my God, we're going to lose Purdy next week. I don't think that's going to happen, okay? Unless, like, the vibe completely changes or Kyle Shanahan comes out and lets us know, or if Brock Purdy himself lets him know, I'm not going to freak out. Day-to-day injuries are not that bad. They're injuries, yeah, and they hinder you a little bit, but day-to-day tells me that most likely they're going to play that coming Sunday. That's how I look at it when someone says day-to-day. If it was week-to-week, or if you need an MRI or get a second opinion or anything like that, I would be concerned at that point. But as of right now, I am not concerned about Brock Purdy. It just sucks that he got hurt. It truly does suck that he got hurt. Papa J in the house. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Then next up, obviously, I just talked about Bosa. Bosa is probably going to be out for a few weeks, which is not good for this defense because this defense has no pass rushers. Okay, yeah, Gross Matos did something. He's a lot better than he was in the early in the year before he got hurt. Well, he was already hurt, but I'm scrambling here. Gross Matos was not that bad. He was actually pretty good. Okay. And the issue that we have here is that Gross Matos still isn't like a top-tier pass rusher, though. He isn't enough to carry a D-line to perform. You know what I mean? Like, he's supposed to be a complementary piece to the superstar, which was Nick Bosa. So this pass rush against the Green Bay Packers is going to be rough, dude. I expect Nick Bosa to be out a few weeks. He's already dealing with that hip injury that was lasting for a week plus. Then coming into the game, he pushed through it. Apparently, he injured his other oblique and all that crap, apparently. So now he has both problems. So I am a little concerned with Nick Bosa right now than I am Brock Purdy because Brock Purdy should be fine. Nick Bosa is going to be out a few weeks. And this is a bad time, real bad time for him to be out. Against the Packers, brutal. Against the Bills, brutal. Two of the hardest games of the last stretch coming out of the bye. Rough. It's going to be rough. So it's going to be up to the 49ers offense to have to keep up with the Packers. That's what's going to happen. That's how I see it. Hey, we're showing love. That's why I say, what up, Niner fan? What up, what up, what up? I like seeing the love. I love seeing the love. That's what I like to see. So the big news. That's the biggest news. I haven't heard anything about Trent Williams. I haven't heard if he's out or not, or if there's anything bad happening with him yet. I haven't heard anything. I tried Googling stuff about it, but nothing's popping up. So we'll still have to see we won't know until tomorrow when they come into practice, really how serious all these injuries are. Just based on the vibes from last week and this game, Purdy should be fine. Bosa is probably going to be out, and Trent could have played because it was a game time decision, I've heard. So if you're a game time decision like that, most likely you're probably going to play the next week. So keep that in mind. It may not be the case. It may still be injuring him. It may still be hindering Trent. But from what I gathered, he's probably going to play against the Green Bay Packers, which will be huge for Brock Purdy because Jalen Moore was ass. So there's Trent. And then let's talk about the 49ers losing to the Hawks. And am I bummed? Yes. That really bummed me out. I'm not going to lie. I understand the division games. Division games are not fair to judge as like regular games. They're not the same pressure. You know, like literally the worst team like a Giants team versus the Commanders or Eagles at any week, if they play against each other, could have a hard fight. They could go back and forth just because they're division rivals and they're familiar with each other. Same thing with this. Seattle Seahawks, they're our rivals. And so you're going to see weird things. You're going to see things that you don't normally see from the team. That's all I can say about that. But as for us losing the game itself, take that out. It hurt. It hurt. It was a game that I think that we should have won badly. I think we should have won we should have won once Nick Bosa was out. Well, if Nick Bosa was still in the game from the second half all the way to the end, I think this game would have been like a 27 to 13 game. I think it would have happened. I think it would have been that serious. I think it would have been that bad. All right. But again, the loss itself hurts. It does, just because it's how I look at it with this team is we have not 10. I don't want to say that. The goal was 10-7 for this team. The goal is 10-7, right? So we are 5-5. We have 2 lives left. That's how I look at it. We have 2 lives. The moment we hit 8 losses, season's over. We're probably not going to playoffs, probably not going to win the division, and it's probably over at that point. That's how I look at it. As long as we still have those 2 lives, as long as we still have those 2 losses in our pocket to go 10-7, I still believe in this team. I still think this team can win the division. And a lot of people are saying, and this frustrates me, not frustrates me, but I don't understand it. A lot of people are like, this team is dead last. This team is dead last in the division. They are fucked. I don't know how you could say that. 3 teams are 5-5. The other team that's in the lead in first place is 6-4. 6-4. And I understand that we're 1-3. I get that. We're 1-3 in the division. But we could still beat the Rams. We still have to play them again. We could still beat the Cardinals. We still have to play them. And guess what? That makes us 3-3 in the division. It's not over. It's bad. It sucks. It's a division loss, and it's a loss, and it adds to that negative, adds to that loss column. Sure. But we still have 2 lives left. We still have the 2 losses to worry about, to work with. Okay? And if we can get this one of these W's against the Packers, who are struggling against the Bears, I know it's in the division, so that applies. But we own the Packers. And it might very well, we might actually be able to beat them. I think we can. I truly do. So if we can get that W, the way I look at it is if we could beat the Packers, we take back that loss from the Seahawks. It's not a division win, but we kind of get back on track because let's be honest, a lot of 49ers fans has the Green Bay Packers beating the 49ers, right? So if we beat that, if we win in that game and we're underdogs and we go in there and we win that game, we stole a W. And guess what? We're back on track again. So it's not over. Any given Sunday, it looks bad. It doesn't look great, especially with Nick Bosa possibly being out. It doesn't look great. But I still believe. I still think this team can go to the playoffs. Heck, I still think this team can win the division. Again, it's not like this team is 3-7. It's not like this team is far away from the rest of the division. We're literally tied. Quite literally tied with 2 other teams. And the other team is one game ahead. So when someone says dead last, it's so ridiculous. When you say dead last, you're talking about, you're emphasizing the idea of just how far, just how last they are, just how behind they are. And they're not. They're tied. So all we have to do is beat the Rams, where we choked. We were going to win that game, but we choked it. We let them come back. But that tells me we can beat them. Same thing with the Cardinals. We had it, we choked, and we lost. But we also were going, possibly, if we didn't do that, we were going to win. So there's still an opportunity for us to beat the Rams. There's still an opportunity for us to beat the Cardinals. And people need to stop getting upset about this loss too as well, because we just split with the Seahawks. It's not like the Seahawks swept us and we're now 0-4 in the division. Those are big games coming up, yeah. Those are big games with the Cardinals and Rams. Every game here on out is huge. But don't count us out. Don't say that we're dead last and it's over. It's not. I've seen plenty of teams. I've seen the Giants. I've seen many teams be the 7th seed, go on to win the Super Bowl. I've seen it before. So it's until we are out, I'm not giving up. The only thing that changes is expectation. But your belief doesn't change. As long as it's still possible to go to the playoffs, as long as it's still possible to win the division, because it is, I'm still going to believe. I'm still going to stick around. I'll be real, though. I'll say, well, this is bad. This is bad news. This is bad news. This is not looking good. This is not looking good. Hey, the expectation changed. I'll say that. But until we're out of it, there's no reason for me to say, oh, let's pack it in. It's over. I'm not doing that. We just extended CMC. We just extended Ayuk and a bunch of other players. Yeah, Ayuk's not here the rest of the season. But what I'm saying is we made all these moves. And if we just give up now when there's still an opportunity, then yes, we are that shit team. We are that low class, don't deserve a damn thing team if we give up now. We don't, if you are a fan that's giving up now, you do not deserve a Super Bowl. You do not deserve it. We need to stand by our squad, stand by this, because it's still possible. You need to, just because it's not given to you on a silver platter, you want to give up. just because the number 1 seed is not in reach, you want to give up? I'm going to give up when it's over. And again, stop with the dead last crap. We are tied. Anything can happen. Rams are losing to bad teams too. Right? Cardinals are the only ones really on fire right now. The Seahawks are losing to bad teams as well. It doesn't make any sense. The only thing they have with this division thing is the tiebreaker as of right now. But we can still beat the Rams, and we can still beat the Cardinals. And the way I look at it, we can still get a game ahead of the Seahawks, who we just split with. I'm not concerned about saying this all over. Right? The Niners of the past used to own the Packers. I don't know about the Niners of the present, though. We'll see. We'll see. But it's not over. We'll see it when we see it. We'll know what this team is. And I do think that, there is a chance the Packers are going to win it. There's a better chance, it seems, this year than previous years that they're going to win it. But there's still a chance we can win it. There's still something to believe in. And I'm not giving up on this team. It's again, we're not 2-7. We're not 3. We're middle of the pack. This team is average. But just like the Giants, they were average. They were terrible. They won a Super Bowl. And it's possible that this team could, if they keep fighting, if this team just keeps fighting, and the other teams just look at us like, okay, I don't know why they're fighting. What's the point? Let's just phone it in. We could take advantage of that. There's still a possibility here. We have to believe. So the Seahawks game sucks. It sucks. It's a negative. It's not a positive. There's nothing positive came out of the game. The entire team looked like shit, played like shit, but we're still 5-5. The Seahawks aren't that great either. The Rams have their issues. The only one in the division that I'm concerned with, to an extent, is the Cardinals. That's who I'm mostly concerned with here. I do think the 49ers could beat the Packers, and if they beat the Packers, guess what? They take back that loss from the Seahawks is how I look at it, because we're supposed to lose to the Packers. If we beat the Bills somehow, guess what? We take that loss back, and we're back on track again. As long as we still have 2 lives left, as long as we still have 2 losses left in our pocket to hold on to, we're fine. We could still make it. If we go 9-8, then I see where you're coming from. I could see where you're saying this season's over. Because at that point, then yes, it's over. But until that happens, I'm not giving up, and I'm asking you to, as a fan, not to give up. Be mad. Be upset. Point out the negative stuff, right? Be real with it. But I'm being real when I tell you that it's not over. Because it's not. That's how I look at it. And I love this team. I do. I love this team. And so what I'm going to say is I think a lot of people are going to take this and think that I'm trying to go full on negative towards Kyle Shanahan when I say this, or Kyle Shanahan, we should fire him immediately when I say, I don't mean it like this when I say this. I really don't. But from the start of the year, I'm not the only one that thinks this, but from the start of the year, Kyle Shanahan's offense was different. It looked different. There was less play action, shit ton of shotgun. Everything looked weird. Okay, and it still looks weird. It's different. I don't know what this offense is. I don't know where this offense came from. I don't know how Kyle Shanahan was like, let's change the offense, and for the worse, for significantly worse. This offense is not remotely the same. Kyle Shanahan is the one criticism I have for Kyle Shanahan right now, not one criticism, but one major one right now, that he's used to do for the past 4 to 5 years. The one thing you love about Kyle Shanahan was that he was able to scheme players open regardless who the quarterback was, regardless of who your receiver was. He was able to scheme a player open multiple times throughout the game. Doesn't always work, but you can almost count on at least there being some crazy scheme where a player's wide open and it's a big play. And it's not some tight window throw that Brock Purdy has to make all the time. It's not a thing where Brock Purdy holds on the ball, rolls to the left, and suddenly a player's open. No, there was plays as for the past 4 or 5 years, Kyle Shanahan just making these plays where everyone was just getting open. That is gone. This year, it's gone. I don't know where that went. Like, he has not been innovative this year. He hasn't. I understand there's injuries, because injuries is a thing. The injuries of this team is so bad, it's equivalent to 2020. And 2020 made all the sense in the world for us not to go to the playoffs. But now that we have injuries now, some people are like not saying that's a legit excuse. That doesn't make any sense. You say 2020 is bad when this year is just as bad as 2020. You could argue worse. And you're going to say, oh, it's this guy's fault, this guy's fault, this guy's fault. The only thing you can really honestly say that's different is that Kyle Shanahan's offense is different. It has a different scheme that, like, again, I keep preaching, I say it over and over again. It's as if he took this and decided to make a new playbook, a new type of offense. And again, throughout the beginning of the year, throughout the offseason, he expected to have Ayuk. I'm assuming he expected to have Ayuk. Expected to have Trent. He expected to have CMC. He expected to have the defense. So this playbook is not because of the injuries. The scheme that he's doing right now is not because of the injuries. That's the one complaint that I definitely have for Kyle Shanahan. He's not scheming these players open anymore. It's weird. I have never seen this Kyle Shanahan in his entire era. Brock Purdy is quite – usually you look at the quarterback and you're like, okay, obviously the quarterback's not making that – like, why didn't he make that throw? That guy was open. What the hell was that? Jimmy G, what the fuck was that? Blah, blah, blah. A lot of that. This year, you see Brock Purdy just doing everything possible to try to make a play. This year, you're seeing Brock Purdy do crazy things to make something happen, to the point where in the Kansas City Chiefs game, he was so desperate to make a play because Kyle Shanahan couldn't scheme anything open. He was forcing shit left and right. This year, this Kyle Shanahan is different. Do I think that we should fire him if we don't make the playoffs? No, I don't think that. I think that a coach who has had multiple successful years, taking you to NFC championships, takes you to the Super Bowl. If we do not make the playoffs, the next year is his hot seat. He's officially on the hot seat. That's how I look at it. But in the previous years, Kyle Shanahan has been able, when we had losing seat, when we were 3-5 or whatever, we were able to still make it to the playoffs. If he doesn't make it to the playoffs here, that is a downgrade from all of his rest of his seasons. And he deserves to be like, okay, well, you're on the hot seat now. Get back to winning and doing your thing. And yeah, and I'm not going to contribute to the Super Bowl hangover. I'm not going to contribute it to the Madden curse or us being predicted to go 17-0 based on the underdog, and because we were not underdogs all season, right? I'm not going to just throw it on there. Those are fun things you could look at. If you're superstitious, fine. But I'm not that superstitious to the sense where I'm actually going to blame those things to why we lost. Okay? This team is different. Unless Kyle Shanahan has Super Bowl fatigue. Unless he has a Super Bowl hangover himself. Because, again, we are not opening up players. So, Santa Clara says we should fire Kyle Shanahan. I do not think we should fire Kyle Shanahan. I think he deserves another year. He deserves another year. All these years of success, if we do not make the playoffs, then he's on the hot seat. Then he'll be on the hot seat next year. But I'm not going to sit here and be like, let's forget all the good. Let's forget all the success just because of 1 year. 1 year of, okay, you can look at this year. You can look at this year and be like, okay, last year, people criticized Kyle Shanahan, even though he was scheming it up left and right. He was doing awesome things with the offense last year. But this year, this is the year where all those people were criticizing him and stuff like that. You can say something. You could be like, okay, Kyle's not scheming it up anymore. Last year, you couldn't. It was stupid to do so. This year, though, it's different. We got a different offense. Yeah. All right. So we got some comments in here. 49ers are still 49ers fan. We could win if we try harder and score more touchdowns. CMC, Debo, Kittle can get us a win. Exactly. There's still a window. There's still a window. Val, what's up? Val. Bringing the fire. I like that. Fire, Kyle. Kittle will be back. Hopefully Ward too. Fingers crossed, man. Fingers crossed. Because with our pass rush right now, with us missing, with our pass rush, missing Nick Bosa, it's not going to look good. The defense needs all the help in the world, right? This defense is going to look bad next week. I want you guys to prepare for that. If Nick Bosa doesn't play, even if Ward comes back, we definitely need him. If he doesn't, it's fine because he's still recovering from the loss of his daughter, which if he wanted to miss the entire season, I'd understand that. But we could use him. If he comes back, that'd be great. But it wouldn't change the pass rush situation. The pass rush situation is so terrible. The defense is going to be bad next week. We need vintage Kyle Shanahan. We need vintage Brock Purdy. And we need vintage CMC and George Kittle next week so badly because this defense is going to be awful. You're going to see things that are going to frustrate you. There's going to be things that are be like, all right, Nick Sorensen, you fucking suck. But I don't want to like throw it all on Nick Sorensen just because he's working with little to nothing on the D-line area. He's got Fred Warner. He's got the Pat. He's got Lenore. If Ward comes back, great. The rookies and Mustafa is fantastic. Green is good. So is Jair Brown. Ward is good, like I said. But that D-line is one of the worst D-lines in the league. And if you got no pass rush, dude, I mean, it's only so many. There's only so much. There's only so long that a corner can cover a player. There's only so much, dude. Oh my God. Kittle will be back. I hope so. I hope he will be back. I think he is too. I think Kittle is going to be back because I've heard nothing but good things by him. He needed to miss the Seahawks game, I heard. But this game, I've heard he's going to come back. And Kittle's known to be hurt and still play. He usually plays through pain pretty well. I actually kind of think he kind of likes it. You're right. Go all next year for Super Bowl 60 at Levi's. Hopefully everyone healthy and much improved O-line, D-line. Exactly. There's still, if these injuries and everything else, man, if we can get everyone healthy, right? If we get everyone back and if we don't sign anyone, we still have this exact foundation with the potential of getting better. And one way of that is like this offensive line is atrocious, right? Well, the biggest needs coming into next year for the 49ers are going to be a backup tight end, a backup one. So it could be a rookie if you want. That's fine. It could be someone you get in the draft because George Kittle is 31. I think he's going to be 32 next year. So we definitely need to get a tight end next year. That's doable, a backup one. Offensive line, just to get two of them. I'm not asking for the offensive line to be perfect on every single level, but there's definitely needs to be upgraded at center. There definitely needs to be upgraded at right tackle. So I'm expecting two offensive linemen next year. And then the D-end situation. I think D tackle is actually relatively fine. I think D tackle has actually a really good future. Right now with Evan Anderson, Clea Davis is not looking too bad. Malik Collins is actually looking really good. I like the D tackle future. And not a lot of people aren't high on that D tackle situation, but I am. I think the problem is just D end. And I think if the 49ers approach offensive line, tight end, and D end next year, we're set. There's really nowhere else you need to go when it comes to players. So what is that? How many positions? D end, offensive line, and tight end. So it's 3 positions. 3 positions that are crucial that you can easily address in the draft and free agency. And the players that we're going to miss next year, if we don't sign him, will be Greenlaw, if he's the same player. Banks is already a bottom-tier offensive lineman, so it's not like we'll miss anything if he's not there. I prefer that we sign him. But if we miss him, it's not the end of the world. Hufunga is being replaced by Mustafa and Jair Brown already. And then who's the other one? There was another one. Ward. And no offense to Ward, he's older. It's time to move on to Lenore, and it's time to move on to Green. So the future next year, there is a wide open window for this 49ers team to reload. Not rebuild, but to reload. There's an opportunity here. And I don't think firing Kyle Shanahan now, when you have an opportunity to reload next year and just carry on from there and go from there. That's when Kyle Shanahan will be on the hot seat. Because at that point, you don't have any excuses. You have a perfect opportunity to reload, and you have an opportunity to learn from your mistake from last year. there's an opportunity here. I'm a big fan of Kyle Shanahan. I'm a big fan of what he's brought from previous years. This year, yes, I agree. He's not the same. He's not scheming it up the same. And it can't be because he's used to having CMC. That just can't be the case. And if that's the case, then good thing that he's gone, because in that way Kyle Shanahan can see the issue with his offense, where it can only run if the vintage CMC is out there. Because let's be real, vintage CMC is not out there right now. The past 2 weeks, CMC has not been the same. And he's been getting touches. So maybe Kyle is just so used to having these dominant players out there that he was able to adjust. You know what I mean? It's almost like, if you think about it, it's almost like you have so much of a good thing, and when something's taken from you, you're used to working with those pieces. You're used to working with that good thing. And that could be the wake-up call for Kyle Shanahan this year. That, hey, you used to scheme things up, man. You used to work with Jimmy Garoppolo and some guy named Mostert that you picked up from the practice squad on the Browns. Right? Where's that guy? Where's he? And again, I'm looking at Brock Purdy. I'm seeing Brock Purdy out there. And I'm sorry, but Brock Purdy's working with nothing. There's nothing schemed opening for him. The play in which Kittle has the touchdown, I can't remember what game it was. I think it was against the Bucs. It was against the Bucs. Kittle says that play was meant for CMC. So Kyle schemed open for CMC, and that didn't happen. I'm just saying. They need to put Debo more in the mix. I think they're putting Debo way too much in the mix. I think Debo's being involved way too much. And Ricky, I think Ricky needs to be involved more. He's shown a lot of potential, and I think that's something you need to build on and work on. I think we didn't see enough of Ricky Pearsall last week, and I think Ricky Pearsall definitely needs to be involved more. CMC is good. I don't think he's the same yet. He deserves grace, right? He deserves some time to get back into form. So I don't mean that criticism in the sense of like, how dare you, CMC? I just mean that as of right now, we do not have vintage CMC as of right now. And I think that's what we need to focus on. Is like, okay, he needs time to get back. Give him a few weeks. Next week, he can go off next week, right? He can go off next week. We'll see. We need Debo for more targets. Well, last game against the Seahawks, how many touches did he get last week, Debo? I don't think Debo's been really a factor at all this year. I don't think in any game where he's gotten a bunch of touches, it's been bad. I have not been a fan of Debo this year. Where's the game at? Last week, Debo had 1 carry, which I don't think he should be a running back anyway. He had 4 targets. I don't like Debo being a running back. I don't know about you guys, but I'm not a fan of that. I think he was that at some point. I think it was a cool thing that he was a few years ago, but he's not a running back. He's not the same. He's not the same on jet sweeps. He's not the same on screens. He's not the same guy playing running back, right? I'm so tired of seeing Debo line up at running back. That's one thing I don't like. And I'm glad that he only got 1 rep. It's better than 10 or 5. You got Jordan Mason and you got Garendo out there who are looking just insanely good. So how come we don't use Juice as an option, or Kyle just wants him to block all game? As of right now, considering our offensive line, I'm totally fine with Kyle Juszczyk blocking. He is a fullback, but I do agree that to an extent, Kyle Juszczyk throughout the years has shown that he can make incredible catches, that he is clutch. So I do agree that there is an extent of why aren't we using Kyle Juszczyk enough? But he's a fullback, right? His main job is to block. A fullback's main job is to block and then like maybe once a game get the ball, right? And I do agree. I do think he should be used a lot, but it would be different and it would be way outside the norm to be using Kyle Juszczyk to that extent, right? To be using as an actual offensive weapon as it was described when we first got him, which I thought was ridiculous in the first place. But I mean, when you got George Kittle, you got Debo, like you said, and then you got Ricky Pearsall now to work with. Jacob Cowling's dealing with the concussion. Hopefully he's okay. I mean, I think when your weapons are depleted, I do think at some point you need to use your fullback, and that's not what happened. But I think that when we had our full power of CMC last year, Kittle, all of that, I don't think Juszczyk was necessary. That's what I believe. I totally understand where you're coming from, where you think that Kyle Juszczyk should be used. If you think that, totally agree. Dude's a good player. He can catch the ball. He can be clutch. I get that. But I just think that with everything we were working with last year and the years prior, the weapons that we had, I just think there's one ball for everyone to feed. His job mainly is to block anyway. That's how I look at it. But if you think he's not getting enough targets, I totally agree. I totally understand where you're coming from. I thought the same when Jalen Moore was at tight end too. What the fuck? Was Jalen Moore at tight end too? Did he play tight end? No. Did he play tight end? Okay, well that's stupid. I didn't catch that part. But if he plays tight end, that's stupid. That's dumb. But Jalen Moore is atrocious. Jalen Moore is terrible. I've been saying that ever since we got him. He's been nothing but bad news. He's been nothing but a liability. You literally have to have a tight end next to him to help carry Jalen Moore. It's just one of those players that the 49ers just like to keep on the squad. There's just some of those players like that. I think there's another player on defense the 49ers like to keep. They're obsessed. I think it was Fowles. He was terrible. But yeah, for some reason, the 49ers like to keep him. There's just players like that on teams where, like, for some reason, coaches just like to keep bad players sometimes. And I think Jalen Moore is one of those. And what's funny about this offensive line situation is that, yeah, the offensive line is bad this year. It was bad last year. But the thing is that in previous years, Kyle Shanahan, everyone knows that Kyle, well, I'm not saying everyone knows this, but a lot of people think that Kyle Shanahan has this ego where he can just scheme people open and makes it happen so it doesn't matter with the offensive line, right? Well, you can't do that now. He's not doing that now. Literally, his wide receivers are last in separation. That means he's not scheming players open. He's not doing it successfully. Teams have figured him out. Let's be real. Unless, and maybe the team, now I think, actually, know what I think about it? Teams may be figuring him out, but he's also doing something different. Let's be real. This offense does not look the same, not even from a successful standpoint, but from an execution standpoint. There's a lot more shotgun, significantly less play action, running at weird times, not passing at weird times. The whole thing is out of funk. There's not like just one weird thing that's happening. You're like, okay, well, that's okay. It's not entirely tearing the offense down, so it's not that bad. But this year, though, it's like an entire laundry list of what the fuck is happening with this offense. It's not just defenses are figuring him out. It's also as if Kyle Shanahan made a new playbook and it's not working, and all these defenses figured it out in the red zone. It's a bend, don't break defense. Just bend, get them down to the red zone, and then just screw them over from there. That's what seems to plan. That's what seems to be happening right now. So I think this offense, that whatever he has, whatever he's doing this year is not going to work. The only thing you could ask Kyle Shanahan to do at this point in the season is just do the best he can, try to get back to where he was, dust off the old playbook. But that's the only thing you can really do at this point. That you can't just change everything now, because the rest of the offense has to learn the cadences. They have to learn the signals and all that. It just wouldn't work. Kyle Shanahan is just going to have to go into next year, dust off his old playbook, or learn from his mistake. That's the only thing you can ask from him at this point in the stage of the season. And again, another thing too is, yeah, Kyle Shanahan is not looking the same, but these players do not look the same either. They're bad. They do not look good. The rookies look better than them. Rookies are looking better than these players. Pearsall at this point is kind of looking better than Debo. Purdy is kind of looking better than Trent, right? These players are not the same. So it's not only is Kyle Shanahan not the same, the rest of the players are not the same. It's a team effort. This entire thing has been a team effort. It's been like, let's do everything we can to not win. We have all these superstars. We have all these options. You know, we have the success from the past and all that. But let's just not be good this year. Let's just be trash. It's almost like they collectively got in a circle, played duck, duck, goose, and was like, okay, whoever got goosed, guess what? You need to play like shit this year. I don't know. I haven't seen a player carry at all this year. If you think about it, there's always something with this team this year. No player, not one, the only player I think has ever played great all season from start to finish in one game, first, second, third, and fourth quarter. The only player I can say that's done that at least once this year, that's Fred Warner. Fred Warner has been the MVP of this team. Fred Warner has been the only Brock. Well, I guess Brock. You can say Brock, but Brock hasn't had I'll be real. Brock hasn't had a full game from first, second, third, fourth quarter. Fred Warner, oh my God, he's the only one that was like, where the fuck is everybody? There's a guy right there. I'm going to tackle him. Why aren't you guys tackling him? Fred Warner is like the one guy who's decided to not play like shit, who decided to play from first quarter to fourth quarter. He's the only one. Special teams, dear Lord, special teams, dear Lord. Holy crap, is special teams bad. Special teams is so bad that it almost took a Bucks game where we should have blown them out, like 27 or 30 or whatever to 10. But special teams was so bad. They made the defense work with short field and a muff punt, etc., missing field goals. It made them look like they're working together to drag this team down. So I feel like even if Kyle Shanahan was his old self, getting back to that old self again, where he's scoring 30 points, scoring the red zone, etc., I still feel like that wouldn't be enough. Because the defense itself, the entire thing is like not cohesive. They can't put a full game together. Special teams can't do it either. So even if Kyle was the same, I feel like we would almost have the same product out there right now, just a little bit better. I think it would just be a little bit better if Kyle Shanahan was back to his old self from last year. This team is working hard to not win. What the fuck, dude? All right, could she use all the work? I agree. At this point, go full Madden, get those XP points, have them play, and that's pretty much what they did almost. I mean, that Evan Anderson out there, Green, Mustafa. They haven't used Bethune enough yet. I think it's like the only rookie we haven't used yet is Bethune, if I remember correctly. Because we are using Green and we are using Pearsall, but I do agree, just use them now. All right? Don't be like, okay, use rookies here and there. No, just give them the experience. Okay, they're good. They're contributing. They're going to make mistakes, sure, but guess what? They get that experience and they're going to get better. I agree. At this point, if they're performing on a level where they're actually playing to a level of starters, might as well. Papa J is awesome. He is awesome. He's a good dude. I like him. We disagree on some things, but he's a good guy. Kittle and Juan have been the ones carrying the offense, to be honest. Yeah, Kittle in general for the past, like ever since 2019 has not been like ever been the main focus. He's always either been hurt, not trying to be negative here, but he's always been hurt, or we have to use him as a blocker because our right tackle is shit. Right? So Kittle is kind of like being held back based on the situation. And that kind of sucks. Juwan, you're right. You know what? I take that back. Juwan, Fred, and you could say Kittle, yes. Those three players are the only ones. I would say Mustafa. I would say him. But that hit on Mahomes. Where he fell back. That's pretty bad. That's a pretty bad look, dude. That's a pretty bad look. I got a question for you. What would be the 49ers record right now if they had Mahomes or Allen this season instead of Purdy? Like game by game through 10 games, how do you see it going? That's a good one. That's a good question. The same. I think it goes the same. That's my first reaction. Because Mahomes is not playing very well, and he has an excellent head coach. And he does have some weapons. Mahomes is not playing very well, right? I think that if Mahomes had this team right now, he may do better. Like, I think he would do better but it wouldn't be by much, if that makes sense. Allen, on the other hand, his thing is throwing it deep, right? Like his thing is like he has a rocket of an arm. He can throw it deep. He can make those big plays and things of that nature. We don't have a receiver like that. So if anything, you just got you got Brock Purdy with a rocket arm. That's pretty much the only thing you got. The only problem is the offense doesn't have that downfield threat. Cowling is supposed to be that guy, but he can't do it right now. Right? He's still a rookie, still trying to figure it out, still trying to get that down. Ayuk's gone. Pearsall is good, but he's still figuring it out. Debo's not that guy. So you don't have that weapon that you could use Josh Allen's strength for him. Right? I think Brock Purdy is, I don't want to say I guess, like the best quarterback right now for this offense based on what you got. So I don't think it would change. The only difference you could really say is that Mahomes has a clutch factor. That here's the thing about Mahomes, and why I think Mahomes would probably do a little bit better and probably better in general is just because he has a clutch factor and he can literally play bad for 3 straight quarters. He could throw 5 interceptions, play like utter shit, doesn't matter. But if they're down by 1 score or 2 scores in the fourth quarter, he will suddenly figure everything out and everything will go his way and he will win the game. That is just Mahomes. Mahomes has that Joe Montana trait because Joe Montana, right? And in the catch game, he threw 3 interceptions in that game. He wasn't very good, but he was good when it mattered most. And Mahomes, he has that GOAT elite trait where he plays elite. He plays like he's the only one that matters, and that's all that matters when it matters most. That's what separates Mahomes from the rest of the quarterbacks. That's what separates Mahomes from all the stats that you want to throw at him. You want to be like, okay, he's not playing. You're right. He's not playing good at all this year. But he makes the plays when he has to. So, and not every quarterback can do that. Not every quarterback is like that. Let's be real. I don't think Brock Purdy's there. I don't think Josh Allen is that guy yet. I don't think Lamar Jackson is that guy. I think Patrick Mahomes, in my opinion, is the only one who has that trait. I think he's the only one. So that's probably the only reason why I think Mahomes would do better in this offense, just because he is that quarterback. To me, Patrick Mahomes is the second greatest quarterback of all time. A lot of people want to disagree with me and say Joe Montana. If you want to, that's fine. But being realistic, and from what I've seen, and it could be recency bias, but he's that fucking good. He's good. And I respect it. Aaron Banks has been atrocious. Yes, he has. He's not been very good. From what I've heard, I haven't been watching him too much, so I don't really know that much. But based off what I've heard from Larry Krueger and a few other people who keep an eye on that kind of stuff, they said he's not playing very good. So he shouldn't ask for a lot of money then if he's playing bad. The 49ers gave a new meaning to special. I know, dude. It's so bad. Like, I never thought in a million years that, like, our special, like, I haven't been this down about special teams since Kyle Williams fumbling the ball twice in the NFC Championship game against the Giants. That is the only time I've ever been this harsh and this, like, fuck you special teams my entire life. God, that game pissed me off so much, dude. Like, it did not matter how good the defense played. It did not matter how good the offense played in that game. The special teams gave that game away. And it's the same thing with this. The special teams is last. I've been preaching it all year. If your special teams coach is so bad you are last, you might as well hire the janitor. Hire somebody else to be the special teams coach. You might as well. You might just do something different. If you're already in last, do something different. Anything. I don't care. Anything. If you are dead last in something, do something different. Like, I just can't take that. It drives me crazy. Not going to become very agitated with Kyle. His play calling was unreal, not creative at all, unpredictable. That is one in the house. Good to see you, man. I don't know if you're here for this, but this is how I look at it. Yes, I'm going to agree. Kyle Shanahan has not been creative this year. He has not been opening up the playbook. He has not been scheming it up. Brock Purdy has been working with trash. Has not been working with great scheming this year. I mean, he's having to throw and it speaks volumes when you're last in separation. That means you cannot scheme. You're not scheming anybody open, right? And then you also got to keep accountability for the players as well, because we're like third in yak, right? When we're supposed to have the yak bros, we're supposed to be elite at yak. That is like our thing for players, and players are not living up to that. So not only is Kyle not living up to his scheming, because the years prior, last year he was doing it. Last year before that he was doing it. Last year before that he was doing elite scheming up. He was constantly scheming it up. He had some bad games, yeah, because he's got some. For some reason, Jim Schwartz hasn't figured out for the Browns. The Vikings haven't figured out. There's just some people haven't figured out. But for the most part, Kyle Shanahan's elite at scheming up plays. For the most part. This year, though, you can criticize him and be like, "What is going on? What happened? This offense looks different. The vibe is different. The players aren't playing the same. They're not the yak bros anymore." Okay, and you're not getting any separation for your players when Brock Purdy needs that to happen. I mean, I feel like Brock Purdy is like, I'm surprised he hasn't lost his fucking mind yet. Being like, where is the scheming? What happened to the scheming? I'm having to make dots left and right. He's having to make dots on a consistent basis. I cannot tell you how many times. I can't remember the last time that he threw to a wide open player that either didn't trip or he had to throw over 3 other defenders. He had to throw over 3 other linebackers to get to the wide open spot, that little fucking circle that is technically wide open. All right, he's been having to do that. And Brock Purdy's been having to take the brunt of it from all the social media posts. Oh, he's just Brock Garoppolo. And it's like, well, where is the rest of the crew? Where's the yak bros? Where's the scheming? This year's different. I do not think that, and I know Juan, and again, Juan, I don't think we should fire him this year if we don't make the playoffs. I think he's allowed, from all the success of previous years, and this year being his down year, and this year I agree, not the best scheming. He deserves to learn from that mistake. He deserves to take, okay, I was great this year. This year I tried something different. It didn't work. Okay, yeah, we have injuries, but even with the injuries, you can tell it's not the same. It's time to scheme it up differently next year. And then he'll be on the hot seat. He'll be on the hot seat next year. I agree with that. If you want to put him on the hot seat next year, 100%. That needs to happen. If this performance repeats itself next year, I can't defend that. But you are allowed to have a down year. You are allowed to try something different and not working. Okay? You're allowed to do that. Let's just see if it continues. What is Kyle Shanahan's trend from here on out? What is the trend? And if he's trending downward, then maybe something needs to be different. And I want fans to know this too. This could be an Andy Reid situation, 110%, right? Andy Reid got fired, got a wake-up call, and became the greatest head coach I've ever fucking seen. And I would hate for us to be that fucking team that he has to quit just so he can realize it and then become the greatest head coach we've ever seen. That's one of my fears. I'm not going to lie to you. I don't want that to happen. I really don't. That would freak me the fuck out. And if that happens, I hope to God it goes to like a team that deserves a Super Bowl, by God. I hope it goes to a team that deserves a Super Bowl. Not some rival. That would drive me crazy, dude. That would drive me fucking nuts. Poody's doing awesome as well. He is. He's a stud. That is steal. There's one thing you got to say, though. John Lynch he knows how to draft players, man. He knows how to listen to his scouts, take that information, and draft really good players. His only problem has been first-round draft picks, which is why I think that you should just trade your first-round draft picks for players you know are good. I think you should just do that, especially since your first-round draft picks are not top 10, right? So there's not like a huge chance they're going to be good. They're going to be back-end, top 20-ish picks, right? So there's a less chance you're going to hit on that. And I think you should just trade first-round draft picks because you're not good at it already. You might as well go out and get a proven player. Get a player you know is good. You know will contribute right away. That's how I look at it. Mahomes would give us the same record, but Allen would give us a 6-4 record. Oh, you think so? Okay. Let's see that. I like Allen too. I don't think he's that bad. He's having an excellent year, by the way. Josh Allen is having an incredible year. Last year, I kind of criticized a little bit. That's a lot of interceptions, dude, last year. I don't think you were that good last year. You were losing to really bad teams. You should have lost to the Giants last year, but you got lucky with a really bad call. The Bills were very iffy. If anything, the Bills were us last year where they were playing really bad on and off almost. Bills were like the Bills are Bills last year or us this year. Everything's going wrong. They're losing to bad teams, and everything just looks wrong for them. This year, Josh Allen stepped it up. That team stepped it up. I expected them to go down. I expected the Bills to not be that good this year. So Josh Allen comes back this year. Now he's performing. Looks like an absolute stud. Crazy. I like Josh Allen this year. Last year I didn't. This year I do. I would be the same if Patrick Allen was in our record would be the same if Patrick or Allen had been playing 49ers. In fact, I would go as far as to say that our quarterback would digress because of Kyle. Mahomes is 7-3 on this team, and so is Allen. Both would have a hit on Ayuk 1st and 20 in the third game, and both beat the Chiefs, assuming they got Purdy in the scenario. I like Brock; he's still good. Because I'm not saying like you're not saying he's not good, because what you're doing right now, you're literally comparing one of the best quarterbacks in the league right now. It's not like you're comparing him to Hurts or Dak or anything like that. You're comparing him to literally the top quarterbacks in the league. So don't worry. I'm not saying like if you're saying that they would do better, fine. They're the best quarterbacks in the league right now. That's fine. That's not a bad comparison. It's not a bad thing to do. But I do think Brock is an elite quarterback, and I think he's better than what people give him credit for. I truly do. He's not Mahomes in the sense that he doesn't have that, even if he plays bad, everything works out in the end kind of trait. He doesn't have that. And I think Mahomes is the only one that has that trait this year. What do you think Kyle doesn't allow Brock to audible? I heard I fell into that, and I disagree with it now. I don't think that's the case. I think there is audibles. I think there are plays. I'm trying not to make it about this guy, but I just think that the reporter who talked about it twisted words to make it sound like he doesn't have audibles, like he doesn't have adjustments. From what I've heard from Kyle Shanahan, it sounds to me he does have audibles. He does have alternate routes to give players. It does sound like there's things that he can do. It's not like he's stuck with that one play, right? He said it. Kyle Shanahan said it in multiple interviews. He can do this. He can do this. He can change that when he sees this. If he sees this, if 9 people are stacked in the box, this is what you got to do, etc. Right? It's just at that point, it's Kyle scheming. It doesn't matter what the audible is. If Kyle's scheming to that audible is not good, it's still not going to work, right? So there are audibles. There are audibles. It's just not to the extent. I just think it was twisted, right? I think when Brock Purdy said something about, hey, I don't do this and I don't do that, and I think it was just twisted into something. That's how I look at it. Was the loss more on Kyle or Sorensen? That's a good one. Let me think about it so I don't just blurt something out. Both, really, because Kyle should have scored more on that offense, right? Should have schemed it up better against that defense, right? But Nick Sorensen had no pass rush to work with. So I guess you would say Kyle more than Sorensen, because Sorensen didn't have a pass rush once Nick Bosa was gone. Because once Nick Bosa left, everything changed for Geno Smith in that offense. Everything changed for him. And then he got better, he figured it out, and they won the game in the last drive once Nick Bosa was gone. So I would say Kyle than Sorensen, because I think if Sorensen had Nick Bosa out there healthy, doing his thing, I actually think we would have won that game. I think we would have got a stop. I think it would have been over. I think we would have won 17-13. So however you want to take that, who to blame the most, I guess you could say injuries, because again, I think if Nick Bosa was out there and we had some kind of pass rush to pressure Geno Smith, I think that would have been a different game. I think we would have won. Who's favored to win, 49ers or Packers? Definitely. If it's not Packers, so I'm sure it changes. That like beginning of the year is Packers. 49ers versus Packers odds. Let me check. The odds are for the 49ers. They are underdogs. They are underdogs to the Packers. The Packers are 2.5-point favorites. The over-under is 47.5 points. I'm definitely taking the under on that one. The 2.5 favorite, I'm actually shocked. I'm surprised it's not higher. Just because, again, our defense is atrocious now. Without Nick Bosa, dude, they're going to tear our defense apart. Without Nick Bosa, it is over for the defense. Just because you don't have another pass rusher who can carry that D-line. You have the corners, you have the linebacker, but you just don't have the pass rush. And when you don't have the pass rush, Jordan Love is going to fling it. He's going to make plays. I'm surprised it's not higher. Do I still think we could win? Of course. I preached at the beginning of the episode, beginning of the show. I still think we can win. I still believe we can win. But realistically, if you want to look at it, Packers should be favored. It's just a fact. I'm not on the fire caution. If we do terribly and miss the playoffs like a 7-10 record, I would try to find a good replacement first and then fire him. Yeah, that would be important. Like, okay, so who would be a head coach? I'm asking you guys. Who do you guys think would be a good head coach to replace Kyle Shanahan next year if they found a replacement? Who would that coach be that you'd be like, okay, confident, let's fire him, let's move on, let's get this guy? Who would be like it? Because honestly, there's only one head coach that would be like, I kind of like it. I kind of dig it. I'm not saying Kyle Shanahan is bad and should be replaced. I'm saying in a what-if scenario, it's inevitable. Kyle Shanahan gets fired. Who is that OC, old head coach, whatever you are hiring? Me personally, sounds to me Ben Johnson's the next guy. Ben Johnson knows how to dial it up, dude. Ben Johnson looks like the Kyle Shanahan of the 2010s. I'm not going to lie to you. Ben Johnson looks fucking good. He looks like a great candidate. And I think if he becomes a head coach for another team somewhere, I think he's going to thrive. I'm a big fan of Ben Johnson. I think he's just a mastermind. He schemes things up. I mean, if your quarterback can throw 85 yards and you win the game 50-something points to whatever, that's fucking good. If your quarterback can throw 5 interceptions and you can still win the game, it's pretty good. I like Ben Johnson. That's my guy. A lot of people like Bill Belichick, but I think people are not going to like this. This is just my opinion. He might be a little washed. He might be a Tom Brady merchant. Is he the worst head coach? No. But I'm definitely going to say I think he's a Tom Brady merchant. That's how I look at it. But I think that he should be on the hot. But to come back to that, if we miss the playoffs, I'm going to be upset. It's going to hurt. It's going to suck. I don't like it. But I'm not going to resort to firing Kyle just because of that reason. But I will definitely put him on the hot seat. He should be on the hot seat next year if we miss the playoffs. That should definitely happen. One. At this point, I'll be happy if we get another win. We should. I think we could beat the Bears. This is realistically. I think we could beat the Bears. I do think we could beat the Rams. That was just a total choke job. Now I think that if we just went in there with a finishing mentality, we could win that game. It's another team that we play. The Lions, no, that's definitely probably not going to happen. Bills, probably not. Green Bay, I think we can win, but you can't count them in. The Bears game is definitely possible. There's another Dolphins is possible because I don't think the Dolphins are as good because they still have to find their motion. But I'll know more about the Dolphins later on before we get to play them. But yeah, Bears is probably the one that we would probably win the most. I could probably see us winning that. One, it was Kyle, not in my opinion. It was on Kyle, in my opinion. Brock seems to be scrambling a lot more. Could be a result of Kyle's black kit play calling. That's why I look at it. I think usually you see a play where a player gets schemed open, like wide open. It's just up to Brock to deliver it. You know what I mean? Usually there's something like that. There's significantly less of those plays. So I agree. I think it's a result of bad play calling this year. If you're criticizing Kyle Shanahan for previous years, that's not right. This year, if you want to criticize him this year, fine. This year, he's not the same. Previous years, no. Immediately after the loss, Grant called Kyle a fraud and then apologized, which made me respect him a little more. But then he said CMC was washed. Like, dude, he's coming off an injury. No way he did that. That sounds on par, dude. That sounds on par. Because like the moment that fucking CMC like goes off, because oh my god, dude, it's everything is in the moment reaction. That's what I hate, dude. That's the one. It's in the moment reaction. It's reactionary. Everything that happens that day is fact for the rest of the year, no matter what. And that frustrates me because that's not realistic. Okay, people are allowed to make mistakes. People are allowed to have bad games. People are allowed to miss an entire fucking offseason and season and play bad when they come back at week 10. You're allowed to do that. I just, the pedestal that this team is being held by with this dude is crazy unrealistic. It's unrealistic. Everything that happens that day is what it is. And that's not realistic. It's not. It's what you do consistently says what you are. That's fucking hilarious, though, dude. That's fucking funny, man. Defense always struggles fourth quarter. Are they just too tired to play? I don't know. It's possible because the depth for the D-line is atrocious, right? Like I think we got 3 D tackles, so that they could be tired by the fourth quarter. We have, not only do we have trash D ends, we barely have any. So I totally agree that it's possible that the D-line is just getting exhausted by the fourth quarter. That's definitely a possibility. That's definitely a possibility. The Niners could easily go 9-2 if Kyle knew how to close out a game. I do think some of these games are on the defense and not Kyle. Because there's some of these games, I can't remember which one it was, but the defense was playing good all year, all game, and then they choked at the end. There's been multiple games like that where like the defense is doing its job, but then at the end of the game, they choke. It's like, do your job. Get a stop. Get a stop. What is this? What is happening? It's kind of like the Bucs game. Defense was playing fantastic, right? It was only because of the special teams. They looked bad. But when we needed them the most, they bent. They didn't break, obviously, because I think they held a field goal. Towards the end there, they bend, not break, but they were looking bad. They were looking terrible. It was looking like the Bucs were going to win that game. And I think at that point, if the defense needs to be held accountable in the sense that their job is to get that one last stop. Their job is to be clutch themselves. The offense, needs to score points, but the defense needs to learn to complement the offense, right? Like if you want, okay, blame Kyle, he can't do this, he can't do that. But what is the defense doing? What are they doing to help out the struggle of the offense? Or what are they doing to help the offense when they go down the field to score with 2 minutes left and they score, and now it's just up to the defense to make that stop? They fail. They fail. The Rams game, that was defense. The Cardinals game, that was defense. They choked. The defense choked. I do not blame those games on the offense. I blame those games on the defense. Your job at the end, you choked. The Lions right now with Campbell are the Jim Harbaugh 49ers 2023. Lions were the 2011 49ers. This year, Lions will lose the Super Bowl and Noah to Baltimore like in 2012 did. That would be some crazy. That would be a crazy like situation there. But by the way, I didn't say this. Spidey G in the house. Santa Clara fella in the house. King Mufasa in the house. Gotta say, how are you guys? Keep forgetting about that. But yeah, that'd be kind of interesting parallels for sure. Kyle gives Purdy 3 play calls to choose from, but he doesn't really give him the liberty to pick and choose whatever play call he wants at that moment. That's not that bad. Like, you don't want – that's not that bad. Bill Belichick. You got Bill Belichick, John Gruden, Pete Carroll. Pete Carroll I like. Bill Belichick I like. John Gruden. Go away. Yeah. Mike Tomlin. Oh, he's not. I wouldn't mind Mike Tomlin, but he's not getting fired. He's never getting fired. As long as Mike Tomlin goes even, he will always be a Pittsburgh Steeler. It does not matter. That's evident. All right, that there is the only bar that's set for Mike Tomlin to be fired is probably he can literally have a losing season, I think, and then next year he would have to have a losing season for him to be fired. You know what I mean? I feel like that's the case. As long as Mike Tomlin goes even or better, they're always going to keep him. They're always going to keep him because when you win, you make money. It's not winning Super Bowls, you just make money. Winning games, going to playoffs. You could lose the playoffs, that's fine. But as long as you are a winning team, at any point, even if you fail 10 times out of 10 in the playoffs, you're still making that owner money. You're still building a franchise a fan base, because fan bases tend to attract themselves towards new fan bases, even attract themselves towards winning teams. So it sounds to me that the Pittsburgh Steelers owner is like, we got 6 Super Bowls, right? We got an elite franchise. We only have 3 head coaches in the entire franchise history. All right. And if they fired him, that becomes 4, and that becomes a dark light on them. So Mike Tomlin's not going to get fired for a while. Is what I'm trying to say. I don't think he's going to get fired for a long time. Ben Johnson, the Vikings DC. I actually don't like Belichick. He'd be an older Kyle. He's washed too. I do think he is a Tom Brady merchant. Tyler Hilton in the house. Coolest Chiefs fan I know. What up? What up? Bill Belichick's going to close out opponents, though. He's proven and still motivated to be all greatest wins coach. I mean, he did close out against the Lions last year. Kyle Shanahan did closed out against the Packers. Year before that, he closed out in the playoffs, all the way to the NFC Championship. Year before that, he closed out in the playoffs, went to the NFC Championship. Year before that, he closed it off, I think in 2019, went to the Super Bowl. Like, it's just, I feel like people are, because you lose to Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid or Tom Brady, there's this stigma that you can't finish games. It's like other teams in playoffs are doing the same thing, right? Like, how many teams have lost to the Kansas City Chiefs in the playoffs? It's not like he's losing, he's choking to these nobody head coaches. It's not like he's choking to these nobody teams, right? I do agree it's frustrating and it sucks, but I'm not going to sit here and be like he can't close out games because he's literally done it. He's just not doing it against one of the greatest quarterbacks and head coaches of all time. Because the rest of the AFC is doing the same exact thing. They're losing to one of the greatest quarterbacks and greatest head coaches of all time. Other teams are just as much as a victim to choking, if you put it that way, as Kyle Shanahan is. The rest of the coaches and the rest of the teams are held to that same standard then. Because guess what? You have to beat teams in the playoffs to get to the Super Bowl. And the Kansas City Chiefs are doing that every single year. They're making the Dolphins look stupid. They're making the Dolphins look like choke artists. They're making the Bills look like choke artists. They're making the Bengals, well, I guess not really the Bengals, but that one time with the Bengals. The Bengals are practically choke artists because they did beat them before that. The Ravens, they're choke artists too. Like, the standard needs to be held to other teams as well if you're going to be like, okay, you can't finish the game against the Seahawks. Sorry, you can't finish the game in the Super Bowl. That's how I look at it. Salute to everyone. The Green Bay Slackers. I don't think they're great either. I think we could beat them. I don't think the Green Bay Packers are as good as people make them out to be, but they're not the worst. Bill Belichick did nothing when Brady left his team. Bill Belichick did nothing. Yeah, he did nothing. He looked bad. He looked terrible. He got to pick his quarterback. I think that was like the first time they drafted a quarterback in the first round, even before Brady. It's in a long time, right? I think it was who was the quarterback before Brady? I'm blank. His name is like right in my head. I see his name right here, but I can't say it. Who is that quarterback? I can't remember that quarterback at all, dude. But you know what I'm talking about. He was supposed to be like, he was the first round pick, I think, and they just extended him. He got hurt. Tom Brady came in and everything changed, if I remember correctly. But yeah, it's been a while. And I do think Bill Belichick is Tom Brady merchant. Until he proves otherwise, because he wasn't good with the Browns, right? He wasn't good. He was a good defensive coordinator. Some people, some teams, some coordinators are not good head coaches. They're excellent coordinators, but just really, really poor head coaches. And I think Bill Belichick, is probably an elite defensive coordinator. But as of right now, until he proves it otherwise, it doesn't look good for him. It doesn't look good. We could beat the Packers, but they should be favored. Beating the Rams, Bears, and Dolphins is definitely possible. Everyone else will be eventually. Agreed. And again, a lot of people weren't here when I said this, but we have 2 lives left. We still have 2 lives. God, my fingers look tiny as fuck. We have 2 lives left. All right, that's how I look at it. We're 5-5. And if once we go 8 losses, once that digit becomes 8 in the loss column, fine, give up. It's over. We're probably not going to win anything. It's done. Most likely, if it's 8 losses, I'm trying to see it. Like, I think that's when it's officially over. Like, there's no mathematically, it's done. I think that's what's going to happen if we get 8 losses. If we go 10-7, though, I think we go to playoffs. I think we can go to playoffs. I think 10-7 is the goal. We just have to steal a win. We lost to the Seahawks, which was a win that we were supposed to get. We lost it. Now we just have to go out and steal a win. Is that possible? Yes. It's very possible to go out there and steal a win from the Packers. It's possible to steal a win from the Bills, just not as likely. It's possible to steal a win from the I'm not even comfortable saying this, but it's realistic. It's a reality. As of right now, the Lions this year, it's possible to steal a win from them. So hard saying that. But it's possible to steal a win from there. What I'm trying to say is there's a possibility for us to take something that wasn't where we were supposed to get and get back on track. As long as we can still go 10-7, I still believe. Papa G, Tommy Huxley, what's good, Papa? Tommy in the house. Kimu Foss in the house. I don't think I said hi to you, but there's that. Yeah, but Pats went full rebuild after Brady left. That's not like Brady didn't have a stacked team in Tampa Bay. Imagine Bill with all his talent at 100% health. I don't know, man. That's what we'll have to see. We'll have to see that. He's got to prove it, right? He's got to prove it. And I'm pretty sure if he went to Dallas, he could do it there. So everyone wants a bag on Dak, but Dak's actually a good quarterback, right? I don't think he's elite to the extent of like top 5 or anything, but I do think you can win games with him. I do think you could be successful with Dak. I do think that. So I think if Bill Belichick went to the Dallas, I think he could shake things up. I'm trying to think of other teams that are probably open. The Jets. He won't go to the Jets. Like, he would never go to the Jets. I don't know why I said that. I'm trying to think of another team. The Jags, maybe. I'm sure he would love to work with Trevor Lawrence, even though he's looking like a bust himself. I'm sure he wouldn't mind going to the Jags. I can't think of another team right now, but if I was Bill Belichick, I think Dallas would be. I hate saying that. Dallas might be it, and then the Jags. I can see those two. Grant's pretty and gets pissed off at coaching and losses, which makes me think he's a secret Niners fan. I don't know how you can. I don't want to talk about this all day, but I don't know how you can just be like, "Oh, I'm just not a Niners fan anymore." So that's just how it is. I don't know. I think once you're already a fan of something, growing up, you'll always be a fan of that. You could tell yourself you're not. You could tell yourself this. You could be negative from start to finish. You could say everything that happens in one day is literally the truth, no matter what. It doesn't change a thing. You are a fan. That is there, regardless. You can't just be like, I don't care anymore to something that you truly love and fell in love with. If you do that, that means you truly did not love that team. If you're still into the sport, but yet you're like, I'm no longer this team. I just don't believe that. I think people lie to themselves. I think they tell themselves stuff just because either A, the team is losing, or B, they have to have people look at them as if they're not a fan. You're a fan, dude. You're a fan. I think BME should be a head coach of you guys. I don't want to be it. I think you guys need product. I think you guys need product. Brock Purdy, all coats like Patrick Mahomes too. I don't entirely understand that, but yeah. Niners need to blow Green Bay out this Sunday to prove this season is still. Oh, that's not happening, dude. I don't think we need to do that to prove it. But the 49ers need to prove that this defense is going to allow touchdowns. This defense is going to allow points. I want you guys to know that. This defense is not going to look good. It's not. This game is going to be on Kyle Shanahan 110% because he's going to need to scheme it up and score a shit ton of points. That was going to need to happen to beat this team. This defense, again, is going to allow probably a long touchdown. Probably their running backs are probably going to break a few tackles for a touchdown. That's probably going to happen. We're probably going to have a drive where there's going to be nothing but penalties after penalty after penalty, and they're going to score. It's going to look ugly. I want you guys to know that. It's going to look ugly. No Nick Bosa out there. Injuries galore. No, the D-line just is non-existent. Geno Smith had the nerve to use the night. I know, that is so crazy. We're split, dog, and you lost. That was your first win. Like, I don't know how you do that. That's just that. Like, there should be a rule, right? I guess he does. I guess he does have a how do I put this? He does have a point, a reason to use it, because it does frustrate us fans, because it does bother you, right? And it bothers me a little bit. So I can see why he used it, but it's more like that motherfucker's using Steph Curry's night when he's not a 49er or a Warrior, blah, 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 blah. It's the fact that, like, dude, you can't be doing that when you just won your first game against the 49ers. I just feel like that's not justified in that standpoint. But he did piss off 49ers fans. So on it to his credit, it worked, but just wasn't justified. Was covering the Lions. You imagine stuff he would be saying post game. I know, dude. It's just crazy, dude. Losing the Tampa Bay, like, oh, this team, that was just realistic. Like, no. He would be going in on Jared Goff and that 5 interception loss. He'd be tearing them apart. Yeah. We should have traded for a pass rusher. Our defense is shit without Bosa. Front 7 is just Bosa, Warner, and a bunch of guys. Also, Nick Sorensen overused Bosa is the reason why he's injured. Yeah, but I also think Bosa forced himself out there. I think Bosa is like the CMC of the defense. And what I mean by that is, like, CMC would force him out there even if Kyle handcuffed him to the bench. Somehow CMC will put himself out there. I feel like that. And I think Nick Bosa is the same way. I think he would force himself out there regardless of his injury. So I don't think I do agree that he was overused. I do agree that if he was in this much of a pain, in this much situation where he could have re-agitated that injury to this extent, to where now not only is he just in, like, as if he were to come back in the Packers game, he probably would feel a lot better, probably less chance of injury, obviously because of recovery. But now that you played him so soon and kind of forced him out there against the Bucs and Seahawks game, and now he's probably going to be out for a few weeks, you definitely overused him. I agree with that. The front 7 just isn't. It's so bad right now. It's so bad. Love how Papa J is just good at saying hello and positive. He's bringing the vibe, man. Shout out Papa J. Oh my God, we've been talking for an hour and 22 minutes. God damn. You guys know how to carry conversation, guys. You guys are awesome, man. You guys are awesome. I didn't even know it was an hour and 22 minutes in this. I gotta get out of here. I got shit to do. 3:23. Oh fuck. I just noticed that. All right, so let me get through these comments real quick, and I'll bounce. What happens if the teams beat us in the Super Bowl, all lost in the AFC Championship game? In this scenario, we play New England in 47, Titans in 54, Ravens in 58. What's our record in this scenario? I think we go 2-1. Well, what team that beat us in the Super Bowl lost in this championship game? In this scenario, we play New England in 47. I don't know. I think that year when we beat New England, we stomped them. I think that year was like 44 to, because Randy Moss. Yeah, that was the year because I'll never forget because Randy Moss scored a long time touchdown. It was a big moment when I saw it. I think we probably would have beat New England. I'm pretty sure. But then again, the Ravens were pretty bad on themselves that year. They weren't expected to win the Super Bowl, and then they just got hot in the playoffs. So it could be the same thing for New England. But I mean, if you want to go based on how we played them early in the year, yeah, we should have crushed them. Titans in 54. Yeah, we would have won that game against the Titans, I think. And then Ravens in 58. Yeah, 2-1. I'd say at 2-1 or 3-0. 1-2, but definitely 2-1. Lose the Patriots 2012. Don't really hold Kyle responsible for the Super Bowl losses. Nobody could have won against the 2020 and 2024. Yeah, no one was doing that job. Literally the Chiefs should have lost in that playoff game last year. Like, the Chiefs should have lost against the Dolphins. They should have lost the rest of the team because that was the worst Chiefs team we've ever seen, right? So it's like that was the year for them to lose, but they kept defying odds, and just being a great team. I think J-Lo is overrated. All right, there's way too many comments in here, so I got to bounce. But let me get to Papa's last comment, and then I'll bounce out here. I think J-Lo is overrated as a quarterback, but Green Bay as a whole team might be better than the 49ers. Yeah, I think that with a lesser quarterback and with a head coach who's proven to win with Malik Willis, dude, that's crazy, bro. And then I do think I agree with you. I think the team as a whole for the Green Bay Packers as a whole is good, and I think they're capable of hiding whatever blemish Jordan Love has. Because I don't think Jordan Love's been playing that good this year either. I don't think so. So this is definitely probably the best Green Bay Packers team though in a while. Like, we can be real about that. They're like, this is the best Green Bay Packers team they've had in a long time, even with Aaron Rodgers. Dolphins gonna blow y'all out, says okay body. We'll see. I don't think that's gonna happen though. I think the Dolphins are iffy just as much as we are. I know you're talking shit, but I'm being realistic to answer that. I don't think it's gonna be a blowout. I think it's probably a lot closer game than you think. Now you think about the Dolphins at this point. Yeah, I know it's way too far down the line. We don't know what the Dolphins are right now, right? Like, we don't know what they're going to be. Like, because they just got Tua back. They still look a little shaky. They could get some momentum and start playing good. Interactive. And Watson of Packers would put big numbers on foreigners on Sunday. We'll see. We shall see. I don't know. Watson, the wide receiver Watson? No, I don't see that. That's not happening. Says Nika Tibio. I don't see that happening. We may be a little too interactive. We could talk for hours. That's 110% true. We definitely could talk this for hours, but I got to bounce. I'm losing my voice, as you guys can hear. I'm starting to like slowly lose it. But so time to say goodbye. Thank you guys so much for this awesome conversation. This is fantastic. One of my favorite lives. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. You guys made this live awesome. It wouldn't be awesome without you. Truly, thank you guys so much. Papa J, OG. Good to see you, brother. Always good to see you. Juan, the new OG. Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Santa Clara fella, good to see you, man. Hope to see more of you. You're awesome. Val, of course. Awesome. Tommy. Okay, Body. Even if you're a hater, man, welcome. Good to see you. Spidey's G. That's such a unique name. You've never seen that before. Hope to see more of you as well, man. You're awesome. Did I miss anybody else? Tyler Helton, cool Chiefs fan, I know. Good luck, man, for the rest of the year. Your loss is not a big deal, bro. You'll be fine. Like, seriously, just 9-1. It's not that bad. Landon, I just saw your comment, man. Good to see you, brother. Good to see you. Hope to see more of you as well. King Mufasa, he comes in and dips. Don't mind it. Says hi. Gives quality comments. And there was somebody else. 49er Sports. Good to see you too. B-Hop Jones. Niners for life. Kind of came in and bounced. And then Valor and Scott Lacoste Jr. Big support. Please hit that like button. Supports the channel. Helps me grow. And one day, this channel will be monetized. What? All right. To everybody who watches this later, sub if you haven't subbed already, man. If you haven't done it already. Like the live. If you hate everything else about my content, but this live tickled your fancy and you were like, ooh, that was nice. Hit that like button, man. Hit it. Punch it. Beat the fuck out of it. But don't break your computer. That's all I ask. All love, fam. I will see you next live.